I've returned to the dark side. Salutations! Welcome to Loving the Language of Literacy. My name is Sophia Lee, and so I'll be doing the first episode of my return to the dark side. First of all, it's been a heck of a long time since I last made a video about poetry. Second of all, it's been just a heck of a long time since I last made a video in general. The month of October has been absolutely insane. Today I made my triumphant return to the Young Authors Academy. If you have never seen a writing video of this variety on my channel before, you may not know this, but my lovely teacher Georgia Popoff, who has recently published her, I don't even know what number book this is, but she's published a lot of them, and that is Salter, the Agnostic's Guide to Common Courtesies. She refers to poetry as the dark side, because in YAA we have three genres currently going on: comic/graphic novels, poetry, and fiction. I've actually made 5 videos on my channel with my journey to the dark side. The gist of these videos is that they're just my experience with writing class, what I've learned, and what I wrote that day. I feel that every time I go, I learn such invaluable things, and I want to share them with you. To be honest, I haven't been to a YAA lesson since, I think, the middle of August, and I feel so terrible for saying that, mostly because I just love going. What's prevented me from going to YAA has just been the fact that I have cross country, and the thing with cross country is that you have invitationals every single Saturday for your entire season, and Saturday is also when YAA happens, and unless your race goes on in a really early time, you honestly just can't make it. The point is, I wasn't able to go through September and October. Today is the 31st, Halloween, and I have finally returned. It feels so good to be back, and it honestly feels like I just came home. When I first walked through the door, the thing I noticed was that there are a lot of new people, which I am so happy about. During the summer sessions, it's very sparse just because it's summer, people have vacation, they have camps, not everyone can make it, but it's fall, which means we love writing class because it means an escape from the actual world and homework and everything else going on. So there were a ton of new people who I had never met before, and there were all the old friends who This is what I get for filming during Halloween. Trick-or-treaters are at our door, I swear. Anyways, what was I talking about? Today was just a chance where I reconnected with all of these old friends that I'd been in class with through fiction, through poetry, through playwriting even, and it was just so great to see them. During the summer, during that particular 8-week session of writing class, I had gone through this entire just debate, as well as I made an entire video about fiction versus poetry, but when I came back, I knew there was only one genre I wanted to do, and that of course was poetry, just because I know exactly what to expect in poetry, but at the same time, I don't. Whenever I go, it's such a fully immersive experience that I can't get anywhere else. And with fiction, while yes, I am doing NaNoWriMo, I know that just as I keep going to class through the whole month, I will need a break from fiction because my brain will just be exploding from all the words, and in poetry, especially, conservation of language is valued so much. Plus, I love... Is that another trick-or-treater? You're serious. Okay, so my parents claimed that no one comes to our house on Halloween. They do, apparently. Little urchins. Anyways, I'm obviously not in the Halloween spirit. So when we're all meeting in the big room before we split up to our actual classes, we always do these icebreakers. They're really just our name, our grade, what genre we're doing, but whenever we go into poetry, Georgia always likes to break it down and just have us discuss things themselves, like social issues and just what poetry means to us. So what happened was she started me off because she just loves to do that to me, and asked me exactly what poetry meant to me and why I write it and why I chose the genre in general. And it was really just to get us back into the groove of everything, especially because there were so many new people and returning ones like myself. And it was just such an amazing time because basically the message was universal. We write poetry because we have to somehow express our emotions, and in poetry there's a way that we can just dig deeper into ourselves, and especially focusing on conservation of language. It really is a battle, but a really well thought one to get our message across to readers. And something I brought up, which everyone agreed with me, and I was like, I'm not the only one who does this, is that I will always type essays and fiction and basically anything else, but when it comes down to the actual verse and art of poetry, I have to write it by hand. I know I've written a few on the computer, and those, I swear, have not been as good as the ones as I have written by hand. I mean, this entire notebook you see here, all this is poetry. A lot of it is just a bunch of crap, but as Jessica Brody says, crap makes great fertilizer. For this particular week, a girl named Brianna, who I've never met before, she's new to YAA, brought in the prompt, and it was one of the most freaking hard prompts I have ever done in YA. Probably the hardest, just because I hadn't been in the groove of doing a prompt and writing on command, especially something that I have to share with all these people. And it was just difficult to write about your favorite holiday movie in 2 verses or more, the first verse having to be a haiku, in 50 words or less. Can you talk about conservation of language and difficulty of structure? I mean, can we just take a moment? We all had a lot of fun with it. The original prompt was actually for your favorite Halloween movie, but then one of my friends in poetry, Jenna, suggested that we just make it a holiday movie, which instantly cleared my head so much more, because I honestly don't really watch Halloween movies and I had no clue what to write. But holiday opened up to a different mindset of thought and I just went with it. This isn't the best poem I've ever written, and as always with these kinds of videos, I present these poems to you as their first drafts. I have not edited these other than what I did right before I presented it in class. And the whole point of sharing is just, this is your brand new baby and you're being critiqued on it. It's more of just helping you get to a point where it can be more polished and revised. I absolutely loved where everyone took this prompt. For example, Jenna broke all the rules, but didn't even write about a holiday movie in general and just went on the whole trend of holidays and their meaning, especially Christmas with the whole consumerism aspect of it. And then we had both Georgia and Kimberly write about Charlie Brown's Halloween and how Linus kept believing in the Great Pumpkin. And we actually had one about The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it was just, I love being home. Now I'm going to be sharing with you the actual poem I wrote, and this is 46 words. Originally it was all of this, and I cut it down to just this haiku section as well as this stanza. Irreplaceables prove binding necessity for our survival. Volatility. Similar to a waffle maker, connections reinforce need entranced by cause and effect. Teetering between rebellion and running towards assuring arms, obliterate fear at the hearth of knowledge made better with each other's existence. I can't actually remember who said this, but I think it was just Georgia saying, welcome back to poetry, because I'm not trying to brag, but I am saying that I think I still have the knack and what it takes to write poetry, and it felt so good to stretch my YAA class muscles. Because we were on a press for time, because the last half hour of class was spent doing a kind of mini Halloween party, we just spent the rest of the class with people sharing what they had written. I went first just because I hadn't been there in a long time and Georgia thought that it'd be good if I went. I wrote this poem. I'm not actually sure what it's titled yet. I'm not going to be sharing it with you today, but I most definitely will be sharing it with you in times in the future. Maybe I may even make a whole video about it. I'll most definitely post it on my blog, just because I know it still needs a lot of polishing, but the feedback for it in its in-between drafting stages was incredible. Something really interesting that happened was the contrast between the ear and the eye. And when I say that, I mean whether you are actually reading a piece of text or hearing it, because those pesky homophones can really get in the way. And I had actually never thought of this before in consideration to my poem. What happened was I used the word bare, and I meant it as in B-A-R-E, the bare space, empty floor kind of bare, but half the people who actually had heard the poem interpreted it as bear the animal, especially because my last line is about a mom trying to protect her little girl, and that kind of brings in the whole mama bear frame of mind. I do actually need help from Georgia or whoever else to find out how to clarify that, to make sure people get the message. But it's just really interesting to think about, because either meaning of the word could work in the particular situation of my poem, and either one would be actually pretty good. And when I was told that, I actually was reconsidering trying to make it into the other bear. But anyways, that's another deal, and I will most definitely share this poem with you sometime soon, because I am so freaking excited about it. Something that Georgia said for 2 people in the class, Josie and Chris, is that they just have come down the poetry chute. They were pretty much born poets, which makes people like me very jealous, but still, I love their writing so much. And another thing that was interesting is that they're kind of self-declared twins, mostly because Josie actually said, if I was a guy, I feel like I'd write like you, and I feel like that'd be vice versa if Chris was a girl, just because they have something so somber about their writing, as well as the way that they actually read aloud their poems, and the dark tones to it are absolutely incredible. Chris was originally a fiction writer, but he said to me today even that he's looked back at his fiction and it's been okay, but poetry is really where he has his talent, and I I have to share with you some of these little phrases he wrote. He said stalagmite teeth, and that just, it brings such an image. Savagery and silence, and no sound escapes from my fist. And just, I know these don't sound like much as little fragments, but put together in the poem, it created the most vivid image I think I've maybe ever heard in any poem, and it was just incredible that I know this guy and that he can produce this. My friend Jenna started off the poem that she shared with this line. I don't want to steal it, but I do want to write a poem using this line. It was, "There's a hole in the wall where the clock used to be." And that just, it suggests so much to the audience and to the readers, and just what does that mean? And there's so much mystery just enticed by it. After we shared, we just spent the last half hour of writing class in this kind of party. There was juice, there was candy, there was apples, and we just mingled, and I thought this was such a great way to have my coming back to YA kind of class, because I got to talk to all my fiction friends and I got caught up with them. I love writing class, and you can bet your bottom dollar that I am going to be making so many more My Return to the Dark Side videos. Next week I will actually not have a My Return to the Dark Side video, just because I'm going to a different thing, which is a 4-hour writing conference in which Georgia is teaching a workshop, and I am so freaking excited for it. 4 hours of hanging out with people who are in the same mindset of me and who want to write and be writers, so power to that. Tell me in the comments below what you would have done with the prompt, what your favorite Halloween movie is, because that's what this time of year is anyways, and just if you're a poet, if you're a playwright, if you're a fiction writer, if you don't write at all, maybe you want to try. Just, I want to hear about you in general. Thank you so much for watching. Keep calm, read on, and I'll see you in a video soon. Goodbye! If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up and leave me a comment below. If you'd liked it even more, hit the big subscribe button. My social media is all on my face at SLSBooks, and my previous videos are below me.